C03 at 7:30, February 2nd. At this point, I'd like to ask Reverend Les Fisher, Senior Pastor from the Strathmore Full Gospel Church, to come and give us our little prayer that we badly need.
I want to thank you all for inviting me tonight to pray, and I consider it an honor, Mr. Mayor and Council, to do that. Can you all stand, please, and follow me? Heavenly Father, we thank you tonight for the honor and privilege to pray for the town of Strathmore, the mayor, and councillors and visitors that are here. This is indeed an opportunity to see God work in the lives of everyday people in Strathmore. The Bible commands us that we are to pray for those in authority over us so we can live a quiet and peaceable life. And we do that in the name of Jesus tonight. And today I pray for the portion of the Word of God over this council in the area of wisdom. The Bible says if any of you lack wisdom, we are to ask. And the type of wisdom that we desire tonight for this council and mayor is the type that comes from above. If ever we've needed wisdom, Lord, it's tonight. God's Word also promises unity if we ask, and He also commands a blessing where there is unity. I remind council tonight that God put you in place, and Romans 13 tells us that He puts people in positions and takes them out of positions. Thank you, Lord, for the past pioneers that brought Strathmore to where it is today, past councils. But today I pray for this council, peace, safety, prosperity. I pray for the mayor and council that leads Strathmore into an unprecedented time and experience of economic development and growth. I pray that we will be a safe community. And I pray for good health among staff, council, and all those present. Lastly, I just pray Proverbs 3:6 that says, "Lean not on your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct your paths." In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you. I noticed that every time you pause, there was a little extra emphasis on the mayor. Was there a reason for that?
We'll talk.
Okay. I need it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We do have a public hearing. We're going forward first with the public hearing. No public hearing call. Adoption of the agenda, or any additions to the agenda? Anything from council?
I have nothing, Your Worship. Nothing, Your Worship. Nothing for me, Your Worship.
Thank you. I do, okay.
Under item 7A, agreement, 8 Bayside Place. E, CRP Steering Committee. And then for item 8B, I do have a change of the schedule that was in your agenda. And under 7A, the agreement, I didn't print that off because council had it all in their boxes.
That was that 40-page one?
That's what 40-page one.
Thank you.
And for the public, it's on the website.
And I'm sorry, this will be what this is what item?
7A is the first one.
Okay, thank you. Nothing further? Thank you.
To adopt the agenda as amended.
All in favor? Carried. Previous minutes, 4A.
I move that council adopt the minutes of January 19th, 2011 committee of the whole meeting number 11-W02.
And all in favor? Carried.
And I would move the minutes of January 19th, 2011, regular council meeting 11-C02.
Need the motion, all in favor? Carried. We have no delegations, bylaws. 6A. Page 21.
Your Worship, I would move the council set a public hearing for March the 2nd, 2011 at 7:30 p.m. with procedures in accordance with Council Procedural Bylaws 07-11 and amendments thereto.
I'll hear the motion by Councilor Beth, sorry. All in favor? Carried. 6B. Redesignation from R1 to R1N within the French community. Page 22. Excuse me. Sorry, go ahead. You're gonna speak to this one? Okay, go ahead. You got the floor?
Oh, I do. Okay. Well, typically, you usually provide first reading, and you make a motion.
Okay, well, let's have do first reading then.
I recommend the council do first reading bylaw number 11-01.
All in favor? Carried. No, you can speak, Danny.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
We're not communicating well here. Go ahead.
Basically, again, here's another redesignation of the last phase of Strathmore Lakes. And the recommendation is to provide first reading, so that it may be put on the agenda as well as for a public hearing on March 2nd, 2011.
We not just make that motion?
First reading.
Yeah.
Your Worship, I would move the council refer bylaw 11-01 to the public hearing scheduled for March 2nd, 2011.
Y'all heard the motion? All in favor? Carried. Bylaw number 11-02. Redesignate AG to UR and UR to R2, R2X and UR for a portion of Strathmore Lake State, page 26. And we'll do again the first motion.
Your Worship, I would move that we give first reading only to this and schedule for a public hearing. I'm sorry, I move that we give first reading to bylaw number 11-02.
I heard the motion in favor. All in favor? Carried. Comments? No?
No, I made a mistake originally. I didn't realize that we were still on the motions for 11-01. This one is for Strathmore Lakes Estates. My apologies.
Okay, I knew one of us was wrong. Thank you. So, we don't need nothing further from you then, or?
We need a motion.
Motion, yeah.
As well.
Go ahead.
I make motion the council refer bylaw number 11-02 to the public hearing scheduled for March 2nd, 2011.
You all heard the motion? All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Danny.
Okay.
7A, old business. Linda?
Good evening, Your Worship, Council. Earlier this week, I had placed a package in your mailboxes with the purchase and sale agreement, vendor take back mortgage and transfer land for the perpetually affordable housing project at 8 Bayside Place. And I'll just give you a brief history on this project. In 2007, the town applied for and received grant funding for an affordable housing project in the amount of just over $1.6 million, which is paid out as the project progresses. This site was given first reading to amend the land use bylaw by redesignating 8 Bayside Place to P1 with a site-specific exception to ensure that the only use permitted for this site is municipal sustainable housing. On August 19th of 2009, Council approved the purchase of 2.5 acres of land in the amount of $722,400 for the purpose of municipal sustainable housing. The owners of this parcel, Keith and Ingrid Gary, also generously donated 9,000 square feet of land towards this project. The town has been working with Classic Construction Limited to bring this project to fruition. After many stumbling blocks, we were finally able to move forward. To make this a truly affordable project, we negotiated a cost-sharing arrangement for the installation of utilities and surface works via a joint servicing and joint access easement agreement with the landowners to the north of this lot. And at this point, we have 2 foundations in the ground. To enable those individuals and families earning at or near the core needs income threshold, a second mortgage will be provided by the town, which will carry no monthly payments and will only be repaid on resale or if the unit is rented. CCL will donate $10,000 to the town for each sale to be combined with the town's funds and used for this mortgage. This project is unique by virtue of the units being for sale rather than for rent. This will give individuals and families earning at or near the core income threshold opportunity to own their own homes, as the provision of the equity loan will have the net effect of dramatically reducing the cost of the home, which will in turn enable households with lower incomes to qualify for a mortgage, often for smaller payments than rental costs. The endorsement and registration of these documents will allow CCL to proceed with the marketing and signing offers for the units immediately. Timing on this is crucial due to the new changes to the mortgage and lending rules that the government will be forcing banks to implement on March 18th of 2011. If CCL are able to write up offers and submit the mortgages for the purchasers prior to that date, the 35-year mortgages will still be offered. Tonight, administration is requesting council to approve the purchase and sales agreement, the vendor take-back mortgage, and the transfer of land between the town of Strathmore and Classic Construction Limited to allow this exciting project to proceed.
I'll hear the recommendation by administration, if we could get a motion and then maybe have some discussion.
Your Honor, I move that council approve the purchase and sale agreement for land, the vendor take-back mortgage, and the transfer of land between the town of Strathmore and CCL Classic Communities Limited, and that the mayor and municipal clerk be authorized to sign the documents on behalf of the town.
You all heard the motion? Any discussion? Councilor Beth?
Your Worship, I've followed this project since it was first mentioned, and I believe this is truly one of Strathmore's shining moments. I think that this project is unique in many ways, and that for it to happen here in Strathmore, to watch it blossom and actually become a true affordable housing where the people can actually own their own homes is a very exciting thing and a very bright day for the town of Strathmore.
Any further comments or questions? Anyone? Thank you. If not, you all heard the motion. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. New business, 211-212 street sweeping contract award, page 32.
Good evening, Your Worship, councillors. We're here this evening to discuss the award of the 2011 and 12 street sweeping contract. The tender for this scope of work was advertised on the town's website, newspapers, as well as on the Alberta Purchasing Connection website in December as well as in January. Tender for the street sweeping for 2011 and 2012. The contract in 2010 has expired, and so basically going into 2011, there's a requirement for a new contract. Now, we used our extension on the previous contract. It was a one-year extension clause. That's been used in 2010, and now the tender process was required. There's bi-weekly cleanings downtown and into Spruce Park Industrial Park as part of the scope of work. A spring and fall cleanup, and then monthly cleaning up arterial roads. So it's a pretty clearly defined scope of work. And then any additional cleanings, we've asked the contractors that tendered on the scope of work to provide an as-needed cost or an hourly cost based on additional cleanings that may be required through the course of the year. So through the tender process, we received 4 tenders. The lowest at $21,528 with the Angelo Brothers, and the highest at $44,500 with B&M Sweeping and Grading Services. We've met with the Angelo Brothers as the low bidder, reviewed their tender details, ensured that they understand the scope of work, are qualified to provide this service to the town. They basically are more than qualified through their operations in other areas. Don't have a huge presence locally, but are hoping to grow that presence that they do have in other areas into the Strathmore Calgary region. So with that, basically it's the administration's recommendation that tender for street sweeping be awarded to the Angelo Brothers.
You heard the recommendation. I'd like a motion, and we're going to have some discussion.
Your Worship, I move the council award the tender for 2011-2012 street sweeping services in the town of Strathmore to D'Angelo Brothers Corporation with costs not to exceed $21,528, and that the mayor and municipal clerk be authorized to sign the contract on behalf of the town.
Thank you. Any questions from council?
I do have one.
Yes. Go ahead, Councilor.
Through the chair to Jesse. Jesse, who holds that contract now?
The current, the contract has expired, but the previous holder was B&M Sweeping and Grading Services.
Thank you.
Councilor Hamilton?
Yeah, I just have a concern here that the discrepancy between the price, B&M is $44,000 and
Yes.
DBI is $21,000.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how can they do it cheaper than B&W? Or B&M rather?
B&M? Well, all I can, I guess, in terms of ensuring that they understand the scope of work, basically we've had them in here for a couple hours discussing, going through maps, showing the exact scope of work that would be required as part of this contract, ensuring that the equipment they were going to be using was equivalent or similar equipment to what's been used in the past, and what we would require going forward. We've had a couple, actually, inquiries. There were some people that had inquired, could they bring bobcats in, and with brooms on them for street sweeping. That's not what we're looking for. It is a street sweeper. These D'Angelo Brothers are proposing that it would be an Elgin or similar street sweeper as currently is being used in the past previous number of years. So they understand the scope of work. They understand the equipment to be used. They understand basically what we're asking them to do, and have committed that $21,000 is their price. I've reiterated with them that basically, here's what we need and the scope of work, and it's been committed to. So I agree that the discrepancy between them is when I first heard it was alarming, and I was concerned.
Shame on you.
After sitting and going through the scope of work and ensuring that it was clear, there was no misunderstanding of exactly what our requirements are, and
just my concern is that we've got B&M Sweeping. They've done the cleaning for years and years, as far as I know, and I think administration has been very satisfied with
Absolutely.
the scope of work.
Absolutely.
Because you're bringing in somebody that's new,
Yeah.
out of town, you're not shopping locally again. Nothing against you. You know, I'm a scope contract, but I just have a real concern that we're gonna run into a situation where they're gonna say halfway through the contract or 6 months into it says, oh, this is too much work for us, we can't do it, and then we're back in the same phase. I'm in favor of I don't know whether the rest of you are, I'm in favor of paying for a good product. And I think B&M has provided that, in my opinion.
Thank you. Councilor Joe?
Question to the chair, to Jesse. Are we aware of their services in other communities, or have we heard about their reputation elsewhere?
Yes, they've provided street sweeping. They're actually based out of Regina. Their Canadian presence is based out of Regina, but they do provide more highway sweeping and highways clearing in northern Alberta, up in from what I understand, Fort McMurray Prairie area. So they're hoping to branch into the southern Alberta market, and they felt that basically this 2-year contract, a longer-term contract, was a good means for them to enter into the Calgary region as a provider for street sweeping services. So yeah, there is a bit of a local. There is a bit of a local presence with this company. They do have employees, or have had employees based out of Strathmore. It's a very diverse company. They provide line painting services. There's some agricultural, or more parks and green space maintenance type of service. It's a very diversified business. So the street sweeping aspect is new to southern Alberta, but they are local to Calgary, not necessarily Strathmore. In Okotoks, they do have a presence in horticultural and park maintenance and parking lot maintenance activities. So,
Councilor Rempel?
To the chair, Jesse, I'm just wondering, you mentioned they're out of Regina. Now, if we need them to come on short notice, where is their equipment going to be?
we've extended, they've committed that they will have equipment locally, and we've extended the same, allowance for the contractor to store their equipment in our public works yard as we have in the past with our local contractor. So they have indicated that they'd be interested in storing that equipment locally here and transporting, if they don't have a local operator, just having the operator come to do the street sweeping with the equipment stored on site, basically.
So as far as references, did we get any references from other communities as to their quality and type of experience that these other communities have had with them?
I have not out of Regina. No, I haven't spoken to a reference out of Regina or otherwise with the street sweeping service aspect.
It really troubles me that we would be looking at a company we don't know anything about.
If I may comment on that.
Pardon?
If I may comment on that issue. Go ahead, I can comment after, but go ahead.
Your worship, are you cutting me off?
No. I just wanted you to talk too long about that subject.
I will let you make the comment.
Okay, thank you. We used them up at the Ag Society for the past 2 years on other jobs. They were big donators to the Ag Society, I might add, and they were extremely efficient and very reliable, extremely. I have no problem with them whatsoever. I am concerned about the not being local, but if there was more than 10 or 15%, I could argue that, but there's too big of a difference, and I cannot see us not going with them, but I'm very, very trustworthy of them. I've had personal experience with them. Go ahead, Councilor Rocky.
Through the chair.
Were you finished on Councilor Rampler? I'm sorry.
No, I wasn't, but that's.
You were still, and you're just trying to.
I was saying it concerns me a great deal that they are not local. I know that our local supplier has provided for us in the past, which has been very satisfactory, and I would really like to keep it local.
Councillor Rocky, you'll do something.
Through the chair to Jesse there, Jesse, I just blows me away here, this B&M is the previous contractor, and do you know what his last contract was at?
Is,
Dollar price?
Current pricing? I believe it was awarded for $37,500 in 2007.
These are one-year contracts?
These are one-year well, it's a 2-year contract with an option for a 3rd year if exercised. So with some of the annexed area, some additional streets that we've taken responsibility for, things along those lines, that's added to the scope of work within the contract.
So obviously B&M realizing there's more streets that have to be done now, right?
It's gone, yeah, the scope of work has increased.
Yeah. That raised their price up quite considerably, which I can understand, but I just can't see why they're way over double from the low guy here.
Mm-hmm. And I guess that's the
two low guys.
In terms of, historically I've had zero problems with B&M graders and sweeping services. Absolutely not a concern whatsoever in my time here with the town. And they're very low maintenance. We know you're going to get a quality product. The job gets done efficiently and effectively. And to my knowledge, I don't believe we've had a single claim from a resident with respect to damage to property or otherwise. So the justification to bring the recommendation of a new contractor is purely based on the cost difference. And if it was, as Councillor Hamilton alluded to, or the Mayor alluded to, I guess, if it was a 15 or 10% difference, I don't think that I'd even be having this discussion. But with it being so substantial and having ensured that the contractor understood the scope of work and has experience with providing the service, from my perspective and from our operations perspective, it was an option that we didn't see we had.
Well, my concern is B&M has done this for quite a while, and I can see when they're doing it downtown, they do a pretty good job. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping the Angelo brothers would do the same type of job. Mm-hmm. Financially, yeah, the 21,528 is obviously the number we want to look at, but I'm just a little concerned here. I just can't understand why there's such a price range between the two of them here.
There is.
Is there a way, if we're not happy with this service here,
that's where I was going to go. Within the contract, there's a 30-day no obligation out clause. That basically, if we're not satisfied with the service that the town is seeing, we serve 30 days notice and we're able to.
Maybe what these guys call cleaning streets is not the same way what B&M was doing it before.
Again, in the discussions I've had with them and their knowledge of the equipment and of our expectation, there was absolutely no reason for me to suspect otherwise. And I agree. It's a very difficult recommendation that I bring this evening. Like I spoke with the incumbent here on the contract, and I couldn't justify why we couldn't make a recommendation other than cost containment and cost consideration.
Councillor Hamilton.
I just have a question to the chair, to administration. Are these figures within the scope of our budget for street sweeping?
Yes, they are.
So 44.5 would be within that range?
I think we budgeted about 40.
I think we increased it a little bit to 45, just with the increased street and scope of work, as well as we do things for the women's triathlon, for instance. We'll do an extra sweep with Brent Boulevard and parking lots and those stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Beth.
Your Worship, I mimic the comments of all of my fellow councillors. I worry about such a discrepancy in prices, and I worry that once again, and I've seen this happen before, where the local incumbent has not been contracted because of price, and the next thing we knew, down the road, we were scrambling to find them back again. The only solace I find in this whole thing is that we have a 30-day clause where if it's not working, that we can pick somebody else up. I don't know if you spoke to the other candidates here, but I would like to make sure that they're aware that their services may be needed within a 30-day period type thing.
I haven't spoken with them directly, but you know, should that come to fruition, then obviously that would be where we would default.
Okay.
If everybody's made their comments, I'd like to make a few, since, I had not, first off, I had very personal experience up at the Agricultural Society with them. I'd be questioning it too. Had there not been another quote close by to their quote, I'd also question it. But there's obviously other people think they can do it for the equal price. With the 30-day clause in there, with your recommendation, from a financial point of view, we cannot conscientiously go against that. I mean, if I had not known them, maybe so, but it's be morally wrong to $20,000 difference. Come on, or more than that even, $23,000. I don't think how we can turn them down. What about their one clause there? If there's extra work required, now is that based on the contract, that the figure isn't going to go to $200 an hour or $400 an hour? That's based on their existing contract, those figures.
Through the tender process, we'd ask them to we'd ask all tenderers to provide an hourly rate for any additional sweeping services, as well as if there were a call-out fee, for instance, for emergency clean, and an incremental sweep of the downtown area. So those were all additional clauses or additional schedules that we added to the tender. So they provided that, and that would be documented within the contract as well. So there'd be an hourly rate for the street sweeping service, and then a call-out fee in the event that we need to do that.
So is the Heritage Day parade in that somewhere?
That would be an extra call-out. So that, yeah, when we...
And it was before also?
It was before as well.
Okay. I just can't see it. I mean, that's $23,000, my fellow councillors. I mean, to me, and I got a lot of experience with them, only because I know them up at tax day, and that's the only way I know, you know. Thank you. Everybody had no comments? Y'all heard the motion? Is there no further discussion? All in favor? Those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. You back? 8 would be Aquatic Center fee schedule, page 33. And we have some fine ladies here to fill in on it.
Senior Worship Council. Sure you all know Natasha Barrett, our Aquatic Center Manager. Hi.
Hi.
And with the expansion of the Aquatic Center, the fees need to be adjusted to accommodate the additional facilities. In addition, this policy has not been reviewed and adjusted since 2009. The Aquatic Center staff, Natasha and her crew, have researched a number of communities, 9 in total, with similar facilities, and are recommending the revision based on that survey. We'll be at the low end of the spectrum, but still in the ballpark with other communities. The fees will need to be reviewed again in the fall. At that time, all of the deficiencies that could possibly come forward should have been worked out by then, and it would be appropriate to conduct further research and make further recommendations at that point. It should also be noted that there are a number of pre-booked rentals, and that the fees for any pre-booking would have to be grandfathered. And the additional information that you received was just showing you the 2009 fees in comparison with the 2011 fees. And Natasha's available if you have any questions.
Any questions to Natasha by council?
I do, your worship. You said that you had looked at 9 other communities. I was just wondering who you would look at, because I'm wondering whether these fees are high enough.
Okay. So we looked at Tabor, Brooks, High River, Okotoks, Airdrie, Calgary, Cochrane, Three Hills, and Drumheller. So with a lot of these facilities, we have to keep in mind too that a lot of them have gyms and fitness centers with lazy rivers and spin saunas as well. So we don't have those things at our facility.
And this is taken into consideration that sometimes ours freezes up. Any further questions? If not, no questions? Looking for a motion to accept this, please.
I'll make that motion, council, to approve Schedule E, swimming pool fees for policy number 1701.
Y'all heard the motion? Any further discussion? If not, all in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tasha, you got off easy.
8C, Centennial Project, page 43. 42? Call me a liar. Linda, give us your thoughts.
Thank you. One of the projects recommended by the Centennial Committee is the construction of a park to commemorate the town's 100-year celebration. One of the components of the park is placement of a decorative clock that could potentially house the time capsule. The committee in charge of researching and recommending the type of clock has located 2 clocks that would be suitable for the park. The committee is looking for direction from council on which of the 2 clocks is preferable. The difference in price is $4,500 US, with the 4-sided classic being $19,000 US and the 4-sided classic one being $23,500 US. And in your packages, under Schedule A and B are the 2 clocks that.
I think that was an error in the price. $2,350.
$23,500.
Not 2,350.
23,500 and 19,000.
Pretty expensive clock for kids to vandalize.
Well, I'm going to say that I have faith in the people of our town and that I think that it would get looked after rather than vandalized. I myself, after looking at the 2 of these and having a look on the internet at them as well, for the extra $4,000, I'm quite sold on Schedule B.
Not me, Clock D looks like me with the clock on my face. I don't go for that one at all. Councillor Alden.
Just through the chair to Linda, are these clocks a need be or a want to be? Do we want this, or is this what the committee is recommending that we get this, or is it a need base? I'm not trying to belittle anything that's here. Like, I like the idea of the clock. It's just.
Well, it's one of the projects that they have looked at, and there was a separate subcommittee to look at the placement of a clock. So.
I like Schedule A because it goes big numbers, so I can read it.
Me too. Councillor Bill.
Question through the chair. Linda, is this all part of the Centennial budget too? Does it fall right into the budget, or is it above and beyond?
Well, it would be part of the budget.
Part of the budget, okay. And one last thing, sorry. The clock faces, durable as far as contact hitting, if something were to strike them?
We would ask for the special glass, the graffiti proof and.
Okay.
Any further questions? Councillor?
Your worship, my fellow councillor Bob, obviously he's not here tonight, he both of us sit on this committee. Yes, this clock is part of the budget we had set out for Centennial. It falls within our budgets that are within that budget, along with developing the park where this clock's going to sit in. And I think this is going to be a nice addition to the town of Strathmore.
This is only been, and maybe this to Rocky, is this the only thing that's going to be left of memorabilia that's going to be left of the Centennial? This is kind of a Centennial item that's going to be here forever, right?
I wanted the big arch across the street, but that's shut down.
Yeah. So that's really our only thing we're ended up with as our memory.
We want something that's going to hang around after, and being in the park that we have picked, that's what we want, a lasting legacy.
Okay, any further questions to Councillor Rempel?
Through the chair to Linda, the location of this clock would be, exactly where would it be?
That hasn't been decided 100%. There have been a couple of areas discussed with placement of the clock, and it would either be right on the park or possibly into the sidewalk, or it would take up one parking spot on the street with perhaps the sidewalk being extended out and a gate put around the clock. That hasn't been determined yet.
But where is this being proposed?
Right beside the community hotel.
Pardon?
Where is the park being proposed?
Yes.
Between the dental center and the barber shop, yes.
Okay.
That small area, it's owned by the town.
Okay. Now, if that clock is placed in the park, it would be south of the sidewalk.
Yeah.
It would barely be visible.
Yes.
From especially coming from the east, and not visible at all from any from the south. I don't see the need to have a four-faced clock in that location. And I'm wondering if we're going to use that location, whether we wouldn't be better off put a two-faced clock in there, and maybe at some considerable savings.
And we had looked at a two-faced clock, and the savings are approximately $2,000 for a two-faced clock.
Is there, and I could be wrong, is there some committee to hold, Mr. Michael, are you part of this committee? Could you care to comment on it there?
I'll comment on anything. There's a couple of things that are still in the planning stages. But first, the committee would like to do the clock as a lasting legacy to this town. Where it's going to be put, or how it's going to be situated, hasn't been definitively decided by the committee. The committee initially was looking at the area that's being discussed here tonight. There was the other area over towards the library, in the park in there, which is still under consideration. So the four-faced clock over there would certainly be better. Two-faced clock would be better over by the dental center. I'll lose that. I'll speak personally, because I prefer to speak personally in regards to this as saying I'm speaking for the committee. I took a look at the area beside the dental, and at this point I feel it's not going to show well in the community. So I have reservations, but I'm still open on it. I do have a recommendation for the clock though. I think we should be doing it.
Thank you. Councillor Hamilton.
Yeah, I agree with the idea of purchasing the clock, and I like the four-face side of it. Is there any consideration being given to having the clock placed in that flower garden just directly east of the King Eddie Hotel? Like it's a four-way stop.
I would like to just stop it right there. First off, let's decide on buying the clock or not, and then decide on the location after that. And I think that's where we should be going with this. It's not good. We're not discussing the location tonight. This is further recommendation from the committee.
Just a question.
Actually, but that's the answer. Any other questions?
It's not a question, just a comment.
Yes.
I think it's a great idea too. I think I think all of us ran in the campaign and talked about the revitalization and beautification of downtown. I think this will be a great lasting legacy, and I trust the committee.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Al. Thank you, Linda. There are no further questions as far as the clock is concerned. I'm looking for a motion for clock number Schedule A at $19,000.
I'll make that motion that council approve the purchase of the clock depicted in Schedule A, labeled as four-sided classic 3 in the amount of $19,000 US dollars plus GST and shipping and handling.
And I say it simply because there's a big difference in cost. Any further discussion?
Your worship, as I stated before, I've looked at the other one, I've checked it out, and I believe that the Schedule B clock is a better clock.
Councilor Rempel.
Until we have a location where the clock is going to be, how can we vote as to what kind of a clock we're going to be buying?
You can make it something too if it's going to be in that one location that you're talking about. That'd be a two-phase clock.
I didn't hear that in the motion.
Okay. Councillor, we can put that in. Councillor Archie.
Well, being part of this committee, I still believe it should be in the park we're talking about, and I like this Schedule A clock.
Okay, do we still have a motion on the floor? Would you like to add to your motion if it's a two-phase clock? Who made that motion? I'm sorry. Councillor Hanlon.
I'll amend the motion to include that if it's at the Centennial Park that's being in consideration, that it be a two-phase clock.
You understand the motion?
Are we still allowed to comment?
Oh, sure.
I was just going to ask a question, is delaying the decision till we know the location of the clock going to throw off the committee as far as timeline and getting in on time for the celebration?
We have to have a purchase order before the end of February in order to have the clock built and transported.
So we could table it until the next meeting.
We could.
And hopefully the committee will have
Just for your,
found a location, suitable
for your
location.
information as well, both of these clocks are available in either a four-sided or a two-sided.
So we would just be picking the design then?
Well,
Location. Sorry, Councillor Hamilton.
I don't think, what was your comment there, Councillor Fuel?
That if we chose it, we would just be picking the design of the clock, and then the committee, based on their decision as to where it goes, would decide whether it's two-faced or four-faced.
Would that be up to the committee to decide?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We would just basically pick the overall design of the clock. They would have the decision as to where it goes.
Exactly, and I think that's the way it should go. They're doing the study, they're looking into it, it's their committee, and I think that's the way it should go.
Your worship, we do have a centennial meeting Monday night coming up. I would suggest we table the thing.
There's a motion on the floor first. Councillor Best.
Actually, a tabling motion takes precedence, your worship, and I would move that this be tabled until after the committee has a chance to look at what the council has discussed tonight and get brought back to us with what the committee's decision is.
We still have time for that, Linda?
Yeah.
Is that, and no disrespect to Councillor Best, is that the way it works?
Once he's moved that, yes, it's got to be voted on.
On which one? Dave first?
Table?
Yes.
On the table?
Takes
So
precedence.
over Councillor Hamilton?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, y'all hear the motion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. So carried, it's onward to the, what meeting? 16th. Thank you, Linda.
Thanks, Linda.
8D, page 46, assessments review board appointments. Administration?
Yes, Your Worship, under the Act, you now have to appoint members, and these members must be trained. The people who have been on the board in the past are trained and have agreed to stay on the board. Patricia Bechtold and Dennis Gronoff have agreed for 1 year, another 1 year, and POL agreed to stay on the board for 2 years. Then they each have to be appointed to these individual boards and rotate. So we just need these motions done because they all have to rotate through these boards, depending on who's available.
Okay, thank you. So you want all individual motions?
Yes, Your Worship.
Thank you. If there's no further questions, we're looking for a motion.
I would move the council appoint Patricia Bechtold and Dennis Gronoff to the Assessment Review Board for a 1 year term ending December 31st, 2011.
Moved by Councillor Best, all in favor? Carried.
Your Worship, I move that council appoint Theo Owl to the Assessment Review Board for a 2 year term ending December 31st, 2012.
I'll make the motion. All in favor? Carried.
Your Worship, I approve that council appoint Patricia Bechtold to the one-person LARBA, Dennis Gronoff to the one-person LARB, and Theo Owl to the one-person LARBC for 2011.
I'll make the motion. All in favor? Carried.
Your Worship, I move that council appoint Patricia Bechtold, Dennis Gronoff, and Theo Ohl to the three-person LARB board for 2011.
I'll make the motion. All in favor? Carried.
I move that council appoint Theo Owl to the one-person CARB-A, Dennis Gronoff to the one-person CARB-B, and Patricia Bechtold to the one-person CRB-C for 2011.
I'll make the motion. All in favor? Carried. We need one more motion.
Your Worship, I move the council appoint Patricia Bechtold and Dennis Gronoff to the CARB-A, Patricia Bechtold and Theo Owl to the CARB-B, Dennis Gronoff and Theo Owl to the CARB-C for 2011.
I'll heard the motion. All in favor? Carried. Let's go to CRAB there. I believe Linda, steering committee, was that?
That was my idea. CRP is looking for members from the town of Strathmore and other municipalities to sit on these steering committee boards.
I see him in here, and it doesn't say how often, unless I missed it, does it? I mean, the council's heavily loaded now. I highly recommend them, but even to learn about the CRP. But if I see if a councillor could see its way of doing some of them, I don't think it's compulsory. Am I correct?
No, they're just looking for membership, and actually, under the regional water and wastewater, they have their name listed, Your Worship, on the current one, and under the transportation committee, I believe it is, Councillor Sobel, probably, the other ones they probably are looking for is the GIS committee and the regional economic development. They just want representation from each municipality if possible. So really, the other two, we already have representation on. So.
Correct, and I believe they are all during the day, though, are they not?
I would think so.
Yes. I'm looking for Councillor Hamlin to gladly join.
I'd be well told. I'll go on that committee. Again, another one.
Thank you.
Sorry.
The economic development.
Are you making that as a motion?
I'm making that as a motion, you are?
I guess I'll just say.
You all heard the motion. All in favor? Carried. Is there anybody else that would do GIS committee? I don't think I can do it.
I'm not able to, your worship.
Council Rep, welcome, you're leaning back. We have no further volunteers.
For, when are these meetings?
Yeah, that one isn't very often, I know that.
When?
Oh, but we have got dates set.
Like in dates?
Your worship, it's during the day.
Yeah, yeah.
All these are.
Yes, I know that, yeah.
You think held in Calgary?
Yeah, or Calgary, well, it could be, no, it could be your own region anywhere. It could be Strathmore.
You drive my bus?
Okay, people just have to tell me we have somebody to fill up their fourth one. Thank you. I believe that's it for administration, committee and department reports. Thank you. Economic development, Dwight Stanford.
Okay, your worship, there's a restaurant going to open right beside, there's M&M Meats, then there's a barber shop, and right beside that, and it's Original Joe's. And some of my staff have been to Original Joe's in Regina and in Calgary and so on, and they think it's pretty neat, pretty good. Maybe some of you have been there.
You know, I've been to the original Joe's in Calgary, it's very good.
So anyway, they're going to be opening soon, so we're happy about that. Building permits so far, anyway, for the month of January, $510,035. There was a total of 16 building permits. On business licenses, we usually end up with about 750 signed up, but it's only been a month, and we already have 507 signed up as of today, businesses. Also, the mayor and myself had the opportunity to go to the International Council of Shopping Centers at Whistler. And it was very good. There was 2,000 delegates to go to it. So if you sort of compare that to AUMA, it's double. And FCM, it's way larger than that as well. There were quite a few booths there. The mayor and myself went around all the booths at least a couple of times, talking to the people in those booths. Next year, we plan under economic development, setting our booth up there, and we're getting that arranged. The majority of people there in the booths and also around there are executives. Matter of fact, one of them we talked to was the head of the company out of Miami, and they came from Seattle, all over North America. And we were able to talk to some, got some business cards to talk to them, and I wrote a few letters today already to them. And so anyway, next year we'll have a booth there. The city of Wetaskiwin has been going for 4 years, and it's been very beneficial to them, and they plan on going again, and they take several people to it, and we had an opportunity to talk to them on how they set up, the cost for doing it. The booth rental is $1,200. The time you rent carpet and so on ends up a total of $1,500. And that same amount we pay for basically for Home Expo and Home and Garden Show and so on. And it's the right group to be with. Also, under economic development, we're looking at going to 1 or 2 industrial shows, trying to get some industrial clients as well. and we advertised for developers to develop part of our pivot fields, and it hasn't closed yet. We have had some interest, and I had a phone call today from a lawyer that's putting one proposal together for us on that. And our other parcel, raw water reservoir property, there's a proposal being prepared by the lawyer on that one as well. So anyway, things are looking pretty good.
I just want to reiterate what you were saying, Dwight. My experience, I met with many people up there too, and I have about 4 emails for me to contact back from people wanting to discuss. One of them is some fairly large commercial developers and industrial developers. Whether anything comes to fruition or not, I don't know, but if you're not there, nothing happens. They're pretty high rollers, most of them up there, when they go up in helicopters and Learjets, and I went up on the bus. I'm a bit disappointed about that, but I guess that's the way it is. If there's no questions, I'd just like to do something I neglected here tonight. A very nice lady who has worked for us for many, many years, Betty Gascart, has put her resignation in, much to our sadness, and I am very, very sad about that. Betty worked for us for a long time, done a great job, and we're so sad that you're leaving. You're going on to bigger and better things, I understand. And we wish you the best. And I'd like all of us to give you a big hand.
Wow.
Strathmore Municipal Library Board, Councillor Pugh.
I went to the, I should tell the audience this, I went to the annual budget meeting a week early. So sat in my van at 8 a.m. on a Saturday for a while. And then discovered when the board chair was in Cuba that I had the wrong day. So I did finally get to the right day. At least I was a week early. Better than being a week late. But we set the budget, and it was approved at the January 22nd a.m. meeting. There were some questions in the latest library board about the building envelope and when repairs may start, but I see we got some information on that. They have a strong desire to stay at the present location with hope for expansion. The current site is too small for a town of our size. We qualify for a space of 10,000 square feet, and we're not close to that at all. So there are plans. The original plans for expansion have been taken out and examined, and we may be looking at updating them if it's feasible to expand. And the library board will be approaching council for the 2012 budget to see if there's any funding available for possible expansion. And they also wondered if there is going to be an eventual new municipal building, is there a chance for the library to be a part of that? Lastly, I went to the Marigold AGM on Saturday morning. It was a video conference meeting. The budget was approved. One other community is joining the Marigold system, and I had a chance to tour the building and learn about the Marigold system and how everything operates. That's it.
Thank you. Wadenza, Councillor Hamel and Councillor Buckland.
On January 12th, 2011, Wadenza general meeting was cancelled due to road conditions, and it was moved to January 31st. And the general meeting was held in the regular business to discuss. Nothing really came of it. I must admit, I've been hanging around Councillor Fuel too long, and because Councillor Blockland and myself showed up on the 24th. And here on the 31st. So like I said, the gloves are off. Other than that, everything is fairly quiet with them.
Thank you. Happy Gang, Councillor Best.
The Happy Gang meeting was...
Were you there on a meeting too?
Actually, I wasn't. The Happy Gang meeting was held on the 11th of January at 1:15. Unfortunately, there was only 15 of 70 paid members in attendance, and due to that, the Secretary-Treasurer moved that the year-end financial results, be deferred to the next meeting. Floor curling has started on January the 22nd at 10:30 a.m., and if the attendance is viable, it will become a weekly event. There's going to be a pool and crib tournament on Saturday, the 26th. They wanted me to remind people that potluck dinner for members and non-members alike is held every fourth Tuesday of every month. And a discussion was held regarding larger and better informed membership. And question period was held with answers, and the next meeting will be February the 8th at 1:15.
Thank you. Councillor WFCSS, Councillor Rempel, Councillor Best.
The meeting was held the 26th of January at 7 p.m. Financials were reviewed and ratified. Salaries and salary good was reviewed, the result of which is there will be a special meeting to be held and to finalize this project. Organizations have came and gave proposals for presentations to the board regarding receiving funding from WFCSS. This will be a repeated process over the next few weeks. At that point, the board will decide on the successful applicants. Next regular meeting will be held on the 23rd of February at 7 p.m.
Budget meeting tomorrow night.
Budget meeting tomorrow night, correct.
Thank you. Regional Housing, Councillor Best, Councillor Fuel.
The meeting was held on January 13th. We received, and I've read the letter from the Deputy Minister. The Seniors Home received praise from the health inspector for a very clean running operation, so that's a big bouquet to the staff there. They also described how they were able to use the portable defibrillator once in the recent event, so they were given a great deal of praise from the emergency staff on how they used it. There are changes to the financial information that the board will receive in packages. They're streamlining everything. There was a report on repairs and renovations to various sites. Some of the low-cost housing have had a lot of vandalism done, so there was a report on that. There are rooms booked for the ASHA conference in March, and we received a thank you letter and Christmas cards from the staff and residents at the lodge. And that is it.
Thank you. Handy Bus, Councillor Watson.
Your Worship, I attended the meeting January 6th at the hospital regarding the Handy Bus Association. Financial reports were presented up to November 30th, projecting revenue and expenses for December 2010. We could end up approximately with a $31,000 deficit. I tried to make some suggestions of how we could work against that, but two nice ladies in wheelchairs shut me down pretty fast. Alice Booth, the chairperson, who's also a Wheatland County councillor, is going to discuss with their council about increased dollar support based on 12 to 14% rider use out in the county. Next meeting scheduled for February 7th, 11, with the talks of a 5-year projection on the goals of the Handy Bus Association. There is a casino work night coming up April 17th and 18th. They're looking for volunteers as we need a minimum of 16 people. This fundraiser will produce approximately $40,000. It'll take 6 months before they see it though. And lastly, elections of officers was held for 2011.
Thank you. Chamber of Commerce, Councillor Hamilton.
January 11th, 2011, the annual general meeting, the organizational committee meeting was held at the Chamber office to coordinate the annual meeting for March 21st. January 17th, 2011, Chamber of Commerce monthly meeting was held discussing upcoming centennial activities, ways to attract more board members as well as regular members. Very short meeting.
Thank you. Agricultural Society, Councillor Fuel.
At the last meeting, there weren't enough people for a quorum, so the meeting was canceled, and next week is the Board of Directors meeting.
Thank you. Family Center Advisory Committee, Councillor Sobel, not here. Anybody else got comments on that? Not. Community Futures, Wild Rose, Councillor Best.
Meeting was held Thursday, the 6th of January at 7 p.m. Minutes and financials for November, December were read and approved. A discussion on the minutes from the South Regional Community Futures meeting that was held on November 22nd, 2010, and a report was given on that by Ron Cox. A brief report on the details of the Western Diversification Alberta region priorities as outlined in the Western Diversification Community Futures Regional Board meeting that was held on in September 2010 was brought to the board. Arrangements were proposed for the strategic planning session to be held this March or April. Community Futures Wild Rose will be vigorously pursuing extending the RFP employment contract with Alberta Employment and Immigration. Community Futures Wild Rose will be setting up area council presentations for February and March. This is where they come out to meet with the councils and discuss the current state of affairs. Continual board training is being looked at and arranged, and the next meeting will be held on February the 3rd at 7 p.m.
Thank you. Communities in Bloom, Councillor Hamilton.
On January 10th, 2011, Communities in Bloom annual general meeting and potluck supper was held, which was well attended. Officers were either railroaded or elected into the new positions. I'm happy to comment that Robert is still the president, and the annual report was given. Since that meeting, I've had a couple of people approach me and wanting to become involved with the Communities in Bloom. I've directed them towards Robert, and hopefully they follow it up. If not, then I'll get on them as well. And that's basically it for today.
Kinsman Lake Committee, Councillor Hamilton, Councillor Fuel.
Kinsman Lake Committee has not held any meetings to date. I don't know whether a committee has been officially struck through administration. I know there's people interested in it, but I consider.
So there's only one person put their name in. So nothing's official.
Good, thank you.
Names Advisory Committee, Councillor Rempel, Councillor Best.
No meeting.
Thank you. Lower River Council, Councillor Blockland.
That's my committee.
Oh, that's right. What's going on there?
I've got information that quarterly meeting will be held here in the very near future, which I will attend and report back at that time.
Thank you. Calgary Regional Partnership. You want to comment? Oh, I had it. Go ahead. Did I miss one? United Way, sorry. There's a meeting tomorrow night. Well, you want to explain it?
Yeah, Your Worship, the meeting was scheduled January 13th, obviously canceled. We've had some phone conversations with Joyce Bazant regarding the contrast between the town and United Way. Seems to be a lot of confusion. United Way Calgary wants to know what direction town is headed on this. That's what the meeting is for tomorrow night. They requested myself as representative and yourself, Dwight and Linda, if possible, to clarify the situation so we can move ahead or do something. Otherwise, there's a good chance we will lose United Way in Strathmore.
That's at 5 tomorrow.
The first part of the meeting is at 5 o'clock. We couldn't get into here apparently, so it's at my cafe up at Crystal Ridge.
The concern that I have, and we are going to lose it, and United Way is a good organization. The issue being is that first off, I plead from the community a whole that we need a secretary badly, otherwise it's going to continue, and it's probably 10 hours, 2 or 3 hours a week for sure. And it's a paid position, not very well paid, but we need somebody sort of a volunteer paid committee person to handle the secretarial duties. And the other thing is that they want to do a study as to the usage of the United Way funds, or what is the needs of United Way in the community. And I'm very concerned about the whole United Way as a whole. So is anybody in the community that wants to help us out, please come forward. It's a very useful organization, but I put that out to you folks. Thank you. A Calgary Regional Partnership. I attended a roundtable discussion meeting with the committee executive in Calgary, and the major concern is that the partnership continue, and if we don't work together separately together, what will happen is we'll be end up dictated by the provincial government, like Edmonton and surrounding areas, and that is a big concern of mine. So that we must have this partnership going, continuing with the attitude of working together separately, and they're strongly advising the councils to come back, or the counties to come back into the fold. Whether or not that happens, we don't know, but having highly recommendations. They do a lot of good stuff. There is some friends I have that I'm not fully ready to say about, but anyway, I'm a belief that they are good partnership. SWAT, Councillor Sobel's not here. Citizens on Patrol, Councillor Hamilton.
There's no meeting. There's a meeting scheduled for February 10th, which will be held at this time.
Irrigation Committee, Councillor Rempel.
The Irrigation Committee met again last night. Of course, we've been meeting once a week here for a month. It seems to be to the point now where they've finalized most of the stuff, and they're scheduled an open house for February the 16th, and we're hoping that there'll be a good turnout from what we're hearing. There are quite a few people that are interested in getting the irrigation up and running again. So we'll find out what happens on February 16th.
Thank you. Financial Audit Committee, Councillor Best and Councillor Hamilton.
I defer to the mayor.
We'll number it to the mayor.
Centennial Day and Time Capsule Committee, Councillor Sobel and Councillor Blumson.
Your worship, again, Councillor Sobel's not here. He didn't leave me too much. He didn't leave me anything, actually. We had a meeting January 3rd, Family Day, February 21st is coming up. That's going ahead at Kingsman Lake. I know the pins are ordered that are going to be up for sale in different places in town. We've seen the blueprints for the park that we talked about. It looks pretty good so far. We discussed the clock here a little while ago. I don't have much more to say unless Michael, is he sleeping over there? What's he doing?
He's just trying to put the irrigation committee meeting in his iPod. He doesn't know where it is. Next meeting is scheduled for February the 7th, and there's some things that we have to finalize. Most of the stuff I think is in place for the Family Day meeting in the parks, and I don't have all those details as to what's going on there.
Is there a way we could let the public know as to who could be coming for entertainment and stuff like that? The reason I ask that, there's a lot of false rumors going on there, and it's really bothering me.
There's nothing, as far as I know, that's scheduled for entertainment for February Family Day.
Okay, what
The
about
entertainment that we're looking at will be for the July 2nd and 3rd.
There's some names being run around that it's a high cost and all this stuff. Are you using local entertainment?
We haven't picked any entertainment as such. We are looking at different entertainment. We're trying to find out what their costs are that are involved. And my personal preference, again, we're talking personal preference, is that we use local entertainment, but nothing has been decided.
Okay. I'd like the press to note that, please. Thank you. Museum Committee, has there been a chair struck for that there?
I don't think so.
I understand that there's a citizen at large that's putting a lot of work into it, a past councillor, which is fine. Is that true or not?
I don't know.
We have advertised for volunteers for the committee, and once we have a list of names, we will bring it back to council to appoint the committee.
Which I'm in favor, I thought,
We actually had a meeting with some people on January 27th. It was advertised in the paper. We had our first meeting here. So we discussed a variety of things. We talked about different groups that may be included in the museum, talked about possible site locations. Councillor Hamilton, in his usual good-natured volunteering way, is going to check on grant applications. We talked about potential storage sites, both heated and non-heated. And we discussed the problem and methods of receiving storage and the legalities as far as the materials that would be loaned to the museum to protect both the town and people who loan them. And there was definitely a feeling that there was a need to start video recording, taping, filming, seniors being talked with, so that we can start to get memories and comments about the town. Al West and Grant Kleiber are going to be looking into this. And then we talked about possible other groups that we could be partnered with as far as being in the building. Our next meeting is scheduled for March 31st, 7 p.m., but we've also talked about adding a March 3rd meeting because we can't meet on the last Thursday of February. That's it.
Yeah, just to further that, just to let Councilor Fuel know that the grant application inquiries are being made as we speak.
thank you. Where's Councillor Fuel? Are you not directed by council to be the committee head, or the representative?
I thought I was, Your Worship,
Yeah.
but it's not down, so it's not a...
Yeah. I thought we made that motion. If we didn't, do we need to make it? And that's, I mean, I'm not trying to, it seems to me that motion was made, I don't know. But pardon me?
We have to research that.
Okay, yeah. The winter games, again, we don't have anybody, but I want to say that I went to if I may take a minute here, to the Children's International Winter Games in Kelowna, BC. It was a 4.5-day event, and it was something, and the Strathmore girls storm team were there. It was just like a mini Olympics, and I was so proud of them when they come out on the arena floor with the dark lights flashing and everything else with the Strathmore sign. It was just, it brought a tear to my eye and a lump to my throat. The crowd cheering on Strathmore. So it was an international event. There were 13 countries there, 39 cities from around the world, 80 different delegates from around the world. And it put Strathmore on the map, and this team should be so proud of themselves. And I have talked to the station today, and both of them up so well that the station has given them a pre-party for the girls and their coaches and the mayor, and I'm going to invite council there. And I'd like to thank them for doing they were such diplomats and ambassadors to our town and communities, surrounding communities. We should all be so proud of them. And I asked I'll give the dates to when we get it set as to when they're going to be in having their dinner or their party. I would ask the press to be there and really post these people up. As a matter of fact, there was incidents where a couple of them, where I got on the bus when I was leaving, the bus driver said, asked me where I was from, and I said Strathmore. He says, you know what? He says, your girls, I drove them to a couple of games, and he says, they were so polite and so respecting to me. He says, you got to commend them. And that meant so much on the world stage, I'll tell you. I was so proud of them. And they've done so much for the whole community, and it brought us closer together as one, and that's so important. So I can't say enough on how well these girls are doing. It was carte blanche paid for the international committee by my room was paid for them, paid by them, and we're now invited to every international World Winter Olympics, wherever it is in the world. And the mayor's trip is not going there, but once he gets there, it's all paid for carte blanche. Also, we're now having an opportunity to work with Calgary, and I invite Calgary so that they can talk to the mayor. It's a very complicated affair. So that Calgary maybe can work in conjunction with us for the Winter International Games coming in 2013. So we're going to meet Mayor Nancy and discuss that issue with them. Whether he goes for it or not is another issue. But it's the summer games that are so big. So there was 491 participants from the ages of 12 to 15 there, from speed skating to downhill skiing to cross country. as something like 15 different venues. It was just a real big event, and they put it as a big event, and it was emphasized on having fun, which was a big deal. And I'm so proud of them. But anyway, so when that party gets going, we're going to let you know, press and everybody. Other than that, I guess we're done with the with that. Yes.
Just for I omitted the fact of the date or the place for the irrigation meeting, and so Mr. L, for your information, it is on February the 16th at the Civic Center at 7 p.m.
Council meeting that night.
That's right.
That's okay.
For me it is.
Okay. If not, the committee reports. Any further questions from the councillors and administration? If not, I look for motion for adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Thank you very much. All in favor? Carried.